It's pretty clear from the teachings of Jesus that he knows our faith is lived out through relationships. Of course, relationship with God. We are called to love with all our mind, all our soul, our strength, to love our neighbors as ourselves, as was beautifully reflected in that second reading. Jesus gives us a teaching today on how to deal with conflict, because sadly, conflict is inevitable when you're dealing with two imperfect people, or three imperfect people, or a very imperfect congregation. None of us is perfect. And dealing with conflict is essential in a healthy way. And in the gospel reading today, Jesus teaches us how to deal with conflict. And I think a principle that is behind it all is striving for unity, of striving for excellence, of striving for holiness, virtue, and goodness. And if you have a disagreement with someone, Jesus doesn't tell us to go talk to our neighbor about it. He wants us to talk to the person who we are having a conflict with. He doesn't want us to triangulate. If you have a conflict with Mary, don't talk to Joan about it, talk to Mary about it. Right? He wants us to deal with the problem. And when we talk to Mary about the problem that we're having, do it with compassion and love. For we are serving a God who is compassionate and loving and patient with us. I want to tell you a little story about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Sister Anne Marie and I were down in Herring Cove I was asked to do a house blessing. It's for a Nigerian family who moved here. And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed meeting this dear family in their home. It was mom and dad, some children, a sister, and grandparents. And as I sat around talking to the grandfather in particular, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed meeting with them and talking with them. And grandfather, this dear man, he said to me, "Do you know much about atomic fusion?" No, I don't know anything about atomic fusion. And he went on to explain a little bit, and then he brought out a piece that he had recently read from the Economist on atomic fusion. And I can see why he was so interested in it, because it's quite. Now I don't know anything about this. I just passed on a few things that I learned from reading a little bit and from listening to this dear man. So atomic fusion is quite different, of course, from atomic fission. Fission is what it was used to create the atomic bomb. So atomic fission creates a massive, destructive explosion, like a total falling out with a friend. A massive, and the ripples go on and on and on. It causes a tremendous amount of destruction. Fusion, however, is non-destructive. Fusion is the coming together of two atoms, not the separation of an atom, right? So fusion is the coming together. Fusion is creative. I found it so interesting that there is no nuclear fallout in the process of nuclear fusion. That's only fission. So there's no fallout from it. And isn't it amazing that nuclear fusion creates 7 times as much energy as nuclear fission. 7 times as much energy. So if we could use the energy that comes from nuclear fusion, we would easily have enough power to power the needs of the entire globe. But yet we seem to be focused on nuclear fission, on atomic fission, on dividing us, and having our peace built on a policy whose acronym is MAD, M-A-D, mutual assured destruction. That's what's building our peace, based on the atomic treaties of nuclear fission. Imagine if we harnessed the energy of atomic fusion. 7 times more power. 7 times more creative power. The energy of unity versus the energy of destruction. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. So can we, as a community of faith, who takes the teachings of Jesus seriously about how we love God, how we love one another, can we strive for excellence? Can we strive for reconciliation? Can we strive for fusion, not fission? Part of all of this, I'm going to ask Ronnie Lund to come up here now to the anvil. Part of how we're trying to go about being a community of unity rather than a community of division is a number of programs and initiatives that we're launching this year. Ronnie is on staff in our parish as the director of lay ministries. It's a very important position for how we as a community focus our attention, our resources, our mission on unity, not division. So I'm going to ask Ronnie, through the lens of fusion, not fission, to speak about a few initiatives on the go in our parish that I pray are creative, energetic fusion that strives towards unity. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Father Rob. So, as he said, I'm going to go over a few announcements, but we didn't want to just have more announcements for the sake of announcements. So when we looked at the readings today, we were very happy to place them here where we have really this prototype of Christian community. And although it starts off dealing about conflict, which is like the least favorite part of my job, it goes into, where 2 or 3 are gathered, and it really challenges, especially for those of us born in Canada, born in Western Europe, wherever we may be from, particularly challenges our view of being individuals and being able to do things alone and on my own, and I don't need other people, and I have this independence. And Jesus challenges us all throughout the readings today, and particularly in the gospel, about living together in community, that we can't do it on our own, that it can only be lived out with one another when we fuse together. So here's a few things that I want to invite everyone out to. They're all catechetical in nature. So if you're an adult and you think, I did Sunday school, I'm all done, think again. The General Directory for Catechesis, which is like the church's teachings on learning about the faith, talks to no end about the importance of education for adults at every single age and every stage of faith. So you're never done. If we look at the gospel, you can't do it on your own, and we need to spend time together learning about Jesus and growing closer to Jesus. So today, after Mass, in about 40 minutes, is our first family faith formation meeting. This is for any parents and families, grandparents included, who have children pre-primary to grade 5. You can come on down to the hall afterwards. I can't wait to get down there because it's much more cool downstairs than it is up here. If you haven't registered, come anyway. We're not going to have a family show up at the door who's not registered and say, no, go home, you're not allowed here. Come down. We have physical registration for you downstairs. It's really neat because the kids go off into their rooms. They have a little activity that they do, but the main focus of the program is really on the parents and grandparents who attend and about empowering us as parents to be the main teachers of the faith to our children all throughout the week. We talk about activities to do at home. When we come together, we debrief those activities. It's really, really great. And I would say in the few years that I've been doing it, it's made faith stronger in my own household as someone who's worked for the church for years. This coming Wednesday is our first, our launch of our youth ministry nights, what we call Wednesday school. lovingly. It's stuck. It was a name that came like a decade ago, and it's stuck there. So Wednesday school for kids in grades 6 to 12. There's free pizza, so if there's no other reason to show up, go and get some pizza. But it's really neat because it's small group based, so the kids come in and they just spend time in little groups with their leaders exploring the faith. The big thing that touched me about this is when my oldest daughter, Clara, first started going. She came home one night and after Wednesday school, and one of her siblings asked her where she was, why she wasn't home, and she said, "Oh, I was just hanging out with some friends." And we were like, yes! She saw the community part of it, right? Even though she was like learning about Jesus and about the faith, the way that she verbalized it was, I was spending time with friends. That's exactly what we do when we come together in community. Be My Witness. So now I'm talking to the adults. Be My Witness takes place this Monday, tomorrow, happens tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It is only 4 weeks, and the purpose of it is for those of us who know that God has worked and moved in our lives, and we want to share that with others, but there's a few stumbling blocks to that. Either we don't have the confidence, we don't know how to address people's questions, we don't know what to do when we're met with resistance or with anger around sharing our faith. We feel like maybe we work in a workplace where we're not allowed to talk about our faith. Whatever the things are that hold you back from sharing the faith with others, we're going to come together as a community. We're going to present weekly homework and challenges, stuff that we can take away and do throughout our week, so when we come back together the next Monday night, we can debrief those things and really support each other in being more confident sharers and witnesses to our faith. So again, that's tomorrow night. And I should say, you can find this all on this card that was held up at the beginning of Mass as well. The search takes place after Thanksgiving, the Monday after Thanksgiving. If you have access to Formed, and actually you all have access to Formed, if you go on formed.org, you can join with a parish account that we pay for, so everyone has access to it. It's usually referred to as Netflix for Catholics. Lots of really cool stuff on there. The search is a program that is on Formed, so if you want to preview it for yourself, feel free. But it's a 7-week program that really explores some of the fundamentals of our faith and how faith and science interplay with one another. It's welcoming to everyone at every stage of faith, whether you have gone to church your entire life, whether you have fallen away from the church. So if you know people who have been separated from the church or have never gone to church, really great program to invite some of your friends and family members out to and to come to yourself as well. And finally, we're going to have a ministry service fair later in October, in mid-October. We'll talk about this more as we get closer to the date, and there's going to be lots of announcements about it. This is going to be an opportunity to go down to the hall and see how you can serve and sort of implant yourself further into the community with your charisms, your gifts and talents and skills that you can offer to different ministries in the parish, so that as a community we can not just impact each other, but we can impact everyone else outside of the church. So please grab one of these on your way out. A lot of this information is also in this week's bulletin. There are registration links. If you register, it helps us to get a sense of who's coming and what our numbers are, and that's super helpful. But again, you're never going to be turned away if you show up at the door, so don't feel like I didn't register, I can't come, and I hope that I see lots of you out at these things. Thanks, folks.